We have started screaming because now that I'm old and I look at that start streaming button, it looks like it says screaming.
Could be worse.
Hello, everybody. They
Hello,
let
everybody.
us be on TV again. This is Skeeter Green with my RPG life partner, Zach Glazer. He
That's
always
me.
loves it when I say that, too.
Well,
Yeah,
credential.
man, your studio's looking shabby. I could see the
Oh man,
quarters.
it is. I tell you what, it certainly is looking shabby. And I couldn't care less. Let's do this. There you go.
I thought you were just going to turn your camera off.
I could do that. That's an option.
No, that is not an option. Uh, well, welcome back to Goddammit, Zach. How
Yeah,
is how
last
is
week
how is
missed.
everybody that's not watching doing?
Yeah, they're doing great. Mike Ballau said you got the time wrong today.
What?
Mike Ballau said, "Where were we?" I said we were on 20 minutes. He said you got the time wrong.
A, how would Bottolato know what
I,
time
I
is?
know. You're ruining my joke.
Oh, yeah, no. I've been in contact with Bottolato about some things that we're going to discuss
All
because
right.
we're going to talk about small publishers and small publishers going back to conventions in person
Oh boy.
and some of the pitfalls and things that might happen. But first of all, we're going to do things in reverse order and we're going to talk about some Kickstarters
All right.
because our buddy Levi Combs, his Kickstarter for Prophylactic 3 is ending in 23 hours. And it
What's the
is it is
what's it
over
at?
$10,000
Wow.
with 560 backers.
Well, you know what? He deserves every bit of it. Actually, when I
Yeah.
think about what it is that I would like to do or wish I had time to do well, it's a lot of stuff he's doing. I'll be honest. It comes down to he makes really cool zines. I think that when I read through some of the actual material, it's like carefully crafted in ways that I all I write is like requests for quotes and nasty gram emails.
Yeah, that's the key and that's a really good thing for small publishers to consider is, the zine craze right now is just as hot as it can be. It's good for small publishers. It's relatively easy to do, but the key is the content has to be good. You can't just put a zine out there with some bullshit in it and think that, 500 people are going to pick it up. They may do it once, but they're not going to do it consistently.
We bought
And
one on Kickstarter we never saw that was like the worst, the shittiest RPG in the world or something. Remember?
oh yeah, no, that is 9 months late already, and that dude is probably overdosed in an alley somewhere.
No, and that's what you mean, though, is that
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you can't do it with garbage. And our mutual friend Jim Wampler with Scientific Barbarian, he is going, I think quarterly. I think now he has sort of decided he's going to do that, and I hope I didn't just speak for Jim
No.
because he will
Well,
murder me.
he was going to do it anyway with the Kickstarter because he's found not that he wasn't not as surprising. The guy who gave me you must read Commandy, the boy from the Apocalypse comic, and all this stuff about Jack Kirby and ultimate things about comics and post-apocalypse. Like he's the perfect guy to write the scientific barbarian.
Yeah, he's consistently done X amount of backers and X amount of dollars and has refined the whole process to work out. So, yeah, he's doing great. Levi is just constantly producing material. So they're doing fantastic. Levi does the zines and the full page or the
Yeah, I
full
got
length.
I got the Skullcano Island.
That is fantastic. They made a movie of Skullcano Island, but they had to change it for Planet X
To
IP
Godzilla versus King Kong.
Godzilla versus King Kong. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. So, another thing that I wanted to bring up, another small publisher, Tales from the Smoking Worm.
Ooh,
Oh, look at that. It got money just as soon as I clicked on it. I am so happy. These guys are part of the Jim Wampler's uh, Cincinnati cabal of small publishers that are um, right around the same area, Blind Visionary Publications. They are solid and consistently put out really good stuff.
Bad Mike, look, we already did a Levi show. Yawn is what he says. He's saying that Talking Crit is getting the best guest early. You know what he's saying?
Mike doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
This is true. But you know what? I'm going to call Doug Rea and tell him a few things that Mike said. See what happens.
Yeah. No, it's
Anyway,
fine.
so,
Yeah, whatever.
no, but this one looks interesting because one, I hadn't heard of it, but the cover looked cool. And the other thing is that it's a magazine like for over and over. Or is it just one issue?
No, this is for the third one, and what's interesting is they did something I would not normally support. The I would not support the idea of doing it, but what we have here, I'm quickly scrolling through this because I'm trying to
Mhm.
get down to the what they did. So the add-ons they did was they have a luck token because DCC and MCC uses a luck mechanic.
Yep.
And
But
they have these tokens that you can hand out that are called fleeting luck. So you get it like in game, so you can burn it, immediately and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into
it's
the
like a
whole luck.
potion of luck.
Yeah. So it's fantastic. But what they're doing is they have these chips and a box for you to put all of these and your copies of the Smoking Worm in. And normally I would say that is folly, sir. Do not do that. But it seems like they've got it squared away pretty well. So,
That breaks like most of the rules say about don't have add-ons that increase costs that aren't related. That to me is related enough and interesting enough to
well,
where
yeah, because what's cool, I can actually show these because this is a show and tell that I can talk about. See, this is one of the luck tokens, and I acquired these luck tokens in an auction. These were at one time owned by the DCC master himself, Hurley Stroh. So I got these,
Harley had those first.
though that was from Harley's set that he was given to run at conventions, and that is part of my never-ending goal to acquire all of Harley Stroh's Horcruxes.
Well, while you're at, it, you should steal his pen because he's awesome.
Yeah, he's super awesome.
No, he's awesome. And when I first met him, I couldn't believe that there was somebody that had written that many things that was just so pleasant. Not that people like Matt Finch or Bill aren't pleasant because they've written a lot of stuff, but that he was really friendly, helpful, and he's like, "Are you're Holly Stroh?" He goes, "So I'm told."
Yeah,
Who wants to
he's
know?
yeah, he's a really laid back good dude. I like Harley. I've only had a chance to talk to him a couple of times and it was sort of in passing. I think it was at Gen Con. So, he's busy, I'm running all over the place, so it was not a sit down and shoot the shit. So,
Well, those conventions are so busy. Like when you're there and you actually see people you need to see or want to see, it always happens at the time when it's like the least convenient, but
right.
yet you still have to make the most of it, right?
Yeah, and I mean that ties in wonderfully to our small publisher talk about going to conventions. Conventions are a fantastic place to meet people and try and network and most publishers will have a vendor booth because they're trying to sell some stuff. Um, but the problem is for small publishers, that's a job. That's not a
Yeah.
vacation. I mean, Zach, talk about Frog God Games' booth.
I'm gonna
It's a
step back a little
zoo.
further than that. I ran a booth for my own company by myself at Gary Con twice. I had to carry everything with me in their box sets, and it was a giant pain. I thought there's no way it could get worse than one guy taking all these box sets and all this extra stuff he didn't know he needed and change, and that was tough. And then one time, Skeeter Green and I met in Wisconsin, and there was only two of us to run a booth by Frog God, which I just got hired for. And all of a sudden, we show up in a booth, and there's 31 boxes. 31 boxes, each
And
one with a different set of titles.
they had packing peanuts,
No, I haven't
which
got there yet.
doesn't sound like a big deal, but Zach will
No,
get to that.
no. So we started opening these boxes. So we don't know what we're going to be selling. We just were told they would be there when we did it. Well, out came, we're among friends here, out came a bunch of books that had been for sale for years that I didn't know any of them yet because I just got hired. To which Skeeter opened these boxes. That's what he said. And literally, that was his entire he foretold what was going to happen, but though he actually was wrong. But he did. But as we open each one and you poke it, like it starts to snow upwards. Right?
Yeah.
Wisconsin is supposed to snow downwards. There was more packing peanuts than I'd ever seen in my life. We were setting up on a Wednesday night, and we made the entire corner of the Grand Geneva ballroom look just like a bunch of hobos fell apart.
There was shit everywhere.
And it was and that's just pulling out of the boxes, let alone setting up a booth, making it look nice, making sure we had the card reader, we had the change, we had the ability to know, well, Skeeter, do you have a game today? Oh, I don't know. We hadn't planned that far ahead. Really hadn't.
And let me interrupt and speak about hotel Wi-Fi.
No boy.
Just just as the tip of the iceberg, if you are solely dependent on Wi-Fi for your
Boothing.
point of sale needs, make damn sure you have either paid for the conference room Wi-Fi
On a hotspot.
or have some kind of understanding of what is involved because regular Wi-Fi in a hotel sucks balls.
I was when my second or third year at Gary Con as a vendor, I had a phone that had a hotspot. But this was like back before those all had them. They lost the internet down in the vendor area. So everybody in the vendor area was on my hotspot because we all couldn't take credit cards without actually having that on. You realize all the things you rely on that one bit to work. And so we all worked off mine, and I tried to shake down those guys like, come on, Alan, come on, Jeff Delane, give me my money. I want my money. But no.
We actually have a great point from Bad Mike
Ooh,
Bottolato in the YouTube chat. Uh, do not, if you have multiple titles as a small publisher, do not bring 30 copies of every title, assuming you're going to sell them,
no, it's a
especially
hard.
if
That's
you
hard.
have like 40 titles.
No, it's really hard to actually judge because you always feel like you sell the most valuable stuff in the world, and what you forget is that there are 30 other people just like you trying to sell their stuff for a limited amount of money.
Yep.
And when you confuse people with too many titles, we have titles that are they've been published so long ago that you're like, you have to do something really clever. Like for instance, Mike and I sold the Pathfinder books at Gary Con by the pound. In order to get attention to older books, we just got a scale and we started weighing them. And that was kind of those kinds of things brought attention. Otherwise, if you have new titles, you should have a few deep in each title and the ability to order them to ship them to people because it is
Right.
not worth the shipping, holding costs to do it. And you spend a lot of time managing where you put your stuff. Right.
Plus, here's something that people don't think of on both sides of the table, buyers and sellers. Frequently, you will have consumers who want to buy your book, but have not figured out their luggage situation and cannot physically take the book, and then they have to worry about shipping. And not like Frog God is not known for these huge ass books, which is great. It's fantastic value. But if you buy a 600-page book, that means you're not buying three 200-page books.
Or worse yet, like There are people that we owe author copies to who cannot take them because they cannot take them on the plane. Like, yeah, no, it's true. And it's when you think about like when I sold box sets, I sold big ones. They didn't fit in bags that easily, and they were fairly expensive. And so, if I sold four of those in a day, it was a pretty good day. But everybody who came up to me, if they weren't local, they literally said, "I can't take this on a plane
Right.
because it dings, it gets messed up." And
So, yeah, I
I took
have
it
a
so
story
personally,
about
and it was
that.
wrong. Yeah, go.
Uh, I was bringing a bunch of books to sell in my luggage. So, as I'm coming in, TSA decided, oh, we're going to open up your luggage and spread out every single thing
Oh
that
boy,
you own and check through it because they can't x ray through the books because they're too dense. They think something's
is
in
that when you
there.
bought the Judges Guild book from Goodman?
No,
No.
no, thank God. Um, but yeah, I had I think 8 books in my hard shell roll around and a bunch of dice and a bunch of miniatures and all this little ephemera
Sounds like
shit
my
that I
desk.
had gotten. Yeah, it looks like somebody's desk exploded in my luggage and they took it all out and then they handed it to me and said, "You're free to go." And I'm like, "I've got 15 minutes, you rent-a-cop piece of shit." Yeah, exactly. So, these are things to consider. If you are a small publisher and this is your first time at a
Don't get a booth.
convention with a table,
Mm.
I desperately, desperately, desperately plead pool your resources with another small publisher. Do not do that shit all out on your own. Um,
Talk to Blackblade.
uh, Alan Grohe,
Yep,
John Hirschberger, Black Blade Publishing, they're wonderful guys. They frequently sell other publishers' material.
very
They're
frequently.
set up to do it. They are
Meticulous. They're clean. They're
by
organized.
far some of the most honest people I've ever seen in a
If they're so
convention.
honest, you make them. They're suspicious.
Yeah, I get that whole, walking into a church feel when I'm near these guys just because, they
You
are
never
good
know when that
people.
church is not going to be what you think it is, Skeeter. Those kind of guys always surprise you.
Um, so that
Just kidding.
I don't think any small publisher should be taking on doing a show by themselves. I think if you have the ability to, you partner up with somebody else because you're going to want to run games to promote what you're selling. And then who's at your table pushing your material?
And most of these stuff that I think small publishers really get out of cons is not sales at booths, right? It's actually getting to meet with other people you network with, and you can't do that after a 9-hour shift 4 days in a row. In fact, I worked with Mike Ballotto at the Frog God booth, and I watched it. He was out partying every night with my future boss before I was a member of Frog God at Game Hole. And then, here I am working and sleeping and doing all that stuff, and he's just partying along all the way through. I didn't go out and meet anybody for 3 days. I actually forced myself on Saturday night to go out to talk to publishers, and I got hired by Frog God that night.
Yeah, I mean that happens. The last in-person North Texas Con, which we're going to talk about a little bit more here in a bit, I had 14 events in 3 days. Some of it was running games, some of it was playing games, some of it was auctions, some of it was other stuff I just got to do. And I've told Zach this, and I told my wife this too. The Sunday where it's kind of the wind down and you start hugging and back clapping everybody and says, "Oh, it was great to see you." I remember none of it. The entire day is I don't remember a single thing. And Zach told me, "You sat at a table and had conversations with 2 different people." And I was like,
Yes.
"Yep." And I don't remember a word said.
No,
So
and that
don't.
is absolutely true. And I will. The only thing you did wrong was hang out with the guy at the auction the night before. Other than that, you did everything correct.
No, no, I mean, you have to take advantage of these because these are 4 day slices out of your life. And you've got to maximize it, but you've got to enjoy it. and you've got you certainly got to remember it.
You can start not enjoying it. I say that that's like that's the most like let's say privileged thing to say. But I at the last year before the COVID happened, went to 10 conventions, and that's basically about one a month, and it was exhausting because it became only work, and I
Yeah.
didn't play games. I almost never run games, but I was busy meeting with the suppliers or making sure I met with people who were working as freelancers for us, or talking to the convention people, or meeting with the other guests to make sure that I was doing my job on their part, and that becomes impossible. If I had a booth I had to stay at, that would be impossible to actually get done. And so they become work, become busy, and the part that is still awesome about it is that it's still approachable. You're busy, you're talking to a bunch of other people that are involved with your business, but at a convention is the best time to find me to ask about questions about how do you do this, or what would you do, or hey, have you seen? I have an idea. What do you think? Or I think your stuff sucks, Glazer, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. Those are good times to talk to me, right face to face. Then, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, as Zach and I have known each other for years, we have worked together for years. We are friends. I've gone to his house. We have done stuff just when he's traveling and I'm traveling. When we're at a convention together, I am lucky if I see Zach over the course of 4 days, if I see him for 3 hours in total. That man is doing stuff or I'm doing stuff, and it's not. Some people have the idea that when you're working in the gaming industry, that all you do is play games and have fun. It that is a very small slice of your time.
It's an important slice, and it's a slice that makes the job enviable. But the flip side is because it's like a low, there's not a lot of money to run to make the games happen. You have to do a lot of different things, and
Yep.
you want to take the opportunities when you are face to face. You can't travel to see somebody. We didn't take a flight to go visit Meinhardt. You know, we did, but we did for with 5 other people, right? You make plans to make
Right.
sure that you have like economies of scale, and so when you're at a convention, especially if I had known this when I started, I would have gone to Gary Cons with product, but not had a booth for 2 or 3 years, and just kept meeting people because that was far more important to my the growth that I had to be able to do what I'm doing now, which is be one of the 12 people who makes money doing that. And to get there, it was the people I met way more important than the 12 boxes I sold, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
they're
those people, they want to talk to you, and especially take up smoking. I'm telling you right now, all of you out
oh
there,
my god.
that's when I met everybody I met smoking. So I want to make it very clear, kids,
Yeah.
take up smoking.
While I cannot condone Zach's advice to begin smoking, like I do, I just go and hang out and get the secondhand smoke. But literally, the amount of deals that are made over two people out having a smoke is amazing. And the people you meet, there is an excellent picture of Wonky, Jim Wampler, and Tim Kask all together. And I love that picture so much because Wonky wasn't even going to come to the convention.
Did you know who Tim Kask was?
Everybody knows who Tim Kask is. They don't want to admit it, but they all know deep down at like a molecular level. Yeah. Um, but yeah, those kind and we'll go right to North Texas because this is the first in-person convention that we're going to go to in I don't know how long it's been for you, but for
I went to
me,
last North Texas.
yeah, my last convention was
TotalCon.
TotalCon
Yeah.
in 2020. So I'm coming down to North Texas. It's like a family reunion.
Hmm.
I mean, I legitimately love and respect the people who put that convention on.
Well, one of them.
Eh, I like to give Mike a lot of shit, but he has gone the extra mile for me a number of
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
and he gave my wife a job when she actually needed it at the convention. So, um,
Mine too, but she didn't need it.
yeah, no, she didn't need it. Mine didn't either. Uh, but no, everybody does this because they want to,
Yeah.
and they want to have fun, and they want to have fun with this group of people. The regulars that continue to come back become, family.
And that's true at even big cons. There are groups of people that even like I know that two people that we both know and respect, Jason Rocky Gardner and McCarty. Um, they went to Gen Con every year and they were hung around with a very tight group of people
Hmm.
that they saw, went again and again. So even one that is that large and it's big, and I have no interest in going, and I'm from a medium publisher, it does not attract it to us as a company, or nor as useful for the way we spend money or time. I can see, going and having that, but at smaller cons, you're going to go and meet people. You have a chance to really meet people. Like, because I first one I went to North Texas, here, we're going to go to lunch. You want to come? Sure. Like, so I've sit in the car between two guys, and I'm Jim Ward. I'm Steve Winter. And like, I'm going to faint. You
Yeah.
know, you have the opportunity to, you don't know who you're next to, and you certainly don't know, like, even if they're players, that you talk about things and you recognize people that become just part of your experience. And there are a lot of guys who, like, I don't sell or didn't then the kind of products that they were interested in, but they sure like to just, we had a good time over there. And I see them every year and I wave.
Yeah.
I remember their name, but I don't remember much about it. That we had a great game. It was just part of the scene. It was great. But then there's also times when I've gone to some pretty like legit meals, whereas we're sitting there with people who from other companies that are important, and we're working with them to make better products and newer products and learning new stuff, and that makes it worth it. But it is still work, and I would not recommend any publisher go the first time and get a booth and go all in, because you are just LARPing at first. You're just going there and pretending to be a booth when you really, what you need to be is having stuff on you and selling it in a backpack or the trunk of your car. We've seen that. That's not a joke.
Yeah,
But
no. I mean, that's I'm sure convention organizers like lose their mind over that kind of stuff, but that is a very legitimate. I mean, as creepy as it is, I sold some books out of my hotel room cuz I couldn't put them out anywhere. It was the year before I actually asked Frog God Games, "Hey, can I put a book on your table?" And of course they said yes, cuz I I think the amount of companies that would say, "No, I'm not going to help you," I could probably count on one hand. They may not do exactly what you ask, but they will probably offer a suggestion. Hey, no, I can't sell your stuff at my
I
table,
can
but
recommend somebody that can.
right, I can direct you to somebody. So that's so Bad Mike again. Smoking is overrated. Take up drinking. I have never enjoyed conventions as much as when I stopped drinking.
No, I go to the bar with everybody who is drinking, and it's just it it, it's a better atmosphere. Unfortunately, I think with the internet and everything else, that they make conventions seem like they are just that. Every time I turn around the corner, someone like Skeeter's going to jump me. It's not true. Now there are places where we have better behavior, but at a bar at Saturday night when everybody's drinking but me, I didn't feel at all put out. I felt actually kind of, in a way, smarter and better than everybody, because I knew I'd wake up the next day and have half a brain left. Right? No, everyone
Yeah.
was fun. It was a good time. And if you were running a booth, there is zero chance you could do that every night unless you were a very small number of people that we both can name, Skeeter Green.
Okay, so here's an example of a year at North Texas. Just this tells you what kind of community is really there. So I got to
That
North
was fair.
Texas and I was not in good health. I had a really deep cough that was really bad, and unbeknownst to myself, I had I think when before I got there, I had a hull breach. I had a hernia that had just happened, and I think it was before the whole convention. So I'm coughing through the whole convention. It's like I'm holding on to my side. I'm taking a knee. I'm dropping to the
And mind
ground.
you, he was in pain. You could tell, but like every time you say something, he would give you the "Nope, I'm fine."
And And truth be told, during that whole convention, I was on a ridiculous amount of painkillers.
Hmm.
And only a few people could even tell because they weren't doing enough. So, anyway, we have this whole giant uh, event on Saturday night where we have this whole fun auction that's like a skit show, and it's just great. My wife came down dressed as Deadpool, and I scooped her up like a barbarian and walked up these
I watched in real time as Skeeter Turner became
amphitheater
serious.
steps,
It was live.
and then set her down, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die." Um, and then so we go through this whole thing about 2:30, maybe 3 in the morning. Everybody's breaking up, and I go up to my room and find out that my insides were on the outside. So uh, I told my wife we need to go to the hospital, and
Either the hospital or the morgue at that point, dude.
went down to the lobby and started telling people what was going on. Our uh, former coworker Greg Vaughn, who is Dr. Greg Vaughn, I asked him, and
He said fifty
immediately
dollars, please. No.
he immediately laser focused and said, "I think it's this or this, and you could go to the hospital or all this stuff." So I'm trying to find somebody who's sober enough to drive me to the hospital. The convention owner, Doug Rea, was
Yeah.
the one who ended up taking us to the hospital. And this is when Doug is going through his own health concerns, but he cared enough and took care of me enough to get us to the hospital. And yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, when I was with my wife the next morning, we're like, oh, Greens didn't make it down for breakfast yet. And I was in the hospital last night. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, whatever, Skeeter Green.
And then I go trucking out in a bathrobe, and yep, that was
No. No, these are, if anybody's ever nervous about attending one, and I understand being nervous, especially with the COVID stuff that's just happening, but if you're nervous about meeting people and think that you won't like them, I assure you, if you're anywhere near the show, which all 14 of you, but no, if you're anywhere near anybody I know, these are your people, man.
right.
These or woman, these are your people. These are everybody you ever want to be friends with since you were six because they all love the same stuff. Maybe the same exact game. They may argue between BX and 1E. But those are kind of arguments that I can get behind. I'm okay to rejoin the great armor class war of the 70s. It's been going on a kind of lower level, like insurgency stuff, but it's coming back, baby. Armor class wars are coming back. I know it. But
And
those are the kind of things that people disagree with
yeah,
and
and
talk
I'm
about.
sure
Always, they're your people.
I'm sure there are some bad apples. I mean, if you get 300 people
No,
in the same space,
you will have
odds
that. That's
are you're
definitely
going to
true.
have somebody who's a problem.
But
But the amount of people that would jump up to
stop the problem.
squash a situation,
Like when the thought police showed up at Game Hall.
right? Uh, at Gamehole, there was somebody cosplaying being absolutely inappropriate, and I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know what was going on. And then a couple of people were telling me, and I just walked out there and talked to the guy. And yeah, he was not there to have a good time. He was there to
He
cause
was
a
there to
problem.
he was there to like basically be an online troll in person.
Yeah. So, we happen to know the event organizers, and we found one of them and
Found the
got it,
important one.
yeah, got it taken care of.
Yeah.
We're not suggesting vigilante justice as much
No, and
as
it
I would
wasn't
love
just
to
that.
go
What you did was
Batman on
you
somebody's
told a
ass.
convention organizer what happened to make sure that people who were there were not uncomfortable because it was obviously not there to be part of any kind of group. He was there to cause chaos. Identified, reported, he was gone. And that's exactly how it's handled. I mean, it was done probably better than any way I've seen.
Yeah, no, that was a game hole, and that's they have a couple of thousand people they have to be
Yeah.
responsible
And they have
for.
like 5 incidents that happened over the
Yeah,
course of 4 days. I know all 5 of them last year, and I can assure you, they won't happen to you unless you're a very specific place and with a very wrong kind of people. I mean, if you're talking, you've got to be sitting there ready to be bitten by people in orc costumes at 4 a.m. Most of everybody isn't doing that, so maybe bad luck.
Yeah. So, and completely understand this is two white dudes
No, I know
talking
that's
about how
no,
you're safe at a convention.
no,
We cannot speak for women or people
no,
of
we can't.
color or any
I can tell
marginalized
you this.
stuff.
I can tell you this that it is no one I've ever met is hostile to the fact that we have new people come to the convention to be there. We want everybody to be there, come there, be safe, and have a good time. Because I love our hobby. I think it's great. I've
Yeah.
dedicated my life to it now, right? I want everybody to want to be part of it. And that's the way we can do it is by being welcoming and making sure if we see things that we think are uncomfortable, that we take care of them. Because if we see them first, it's far better than to rely on somebody who's uncomfortable to go ahead and take the initiative. Because we want them to not have to do that because that makes an uncomfortable situation worse. We
Right.
want to make it better.
And I don't know about other people's games, but when I run a convention game, especially when there's somebody who I don't recognize their name or their face, so they may not have any idea who I am, I have my standard boilerplate that I say before every convention game because
You have the right to remain. Oh,
I like to swear and I like to have uh, some mental fun with the players. uh, but I also tell everybody, hey, if something gets, weird, please say something. We want this to be a fun, um, easygoing. Everybody enjoys it. I want everybody to leave the table high fiving and saying they had a great time.
and
Anything less than that means that's on me and I failed.
well, and if you're a smaller publisher, once again, it brings to the you're
Yeah.
running games. You're going to meet more people, and you're going to meet chances of having good experiences are 99%, I think. But the chances of you going and meeting people at the booth and having a real conversation or a kind of connection is a little bit smaller, depending on the size of the convention, because it could be where you're talking to six people at once because you are one guy with maybe an assistant you drag with you who may or may not know anything about games, but you needed the help. But you don't get a chance to connect. You get a chance to make transactions, which although is great, if you are really the money that you're making is not offsetting much, as opposed to what your opportunity cost is of being in games and meeting people and doing things. I met Alan Grow in his game for Greyhawk. I was there for 6 hours. I never played a 6 hour game. I watched the most interesting stuff happen from a guy I'd never heard of, and suddenly, like, I saw him every corner of the and he was great because I met him. I bought an Osric. I bought the first book about the Osric book about, so I could learn how to write games for older systems and learn blah blah. It's all happened because of that.
And as far as people going to their first convention, this year at North Texas is the first time my 18-year-old daughter and my 15-year-old son are going to go to a convention. And when I first decided, yep, we're going, I had some anxiety because I know the people that I know, and I know they're gonna, you know, give me some shit and might say some things in front of my kids that
They might tell some stories that will
yeah
we'll save them for them. No,
would be problematic. And then I thought about it some more, and I was like, of all the people out there, I would feel the safest at North Texas. It's a
no.
small convention. All the people may give me a hard time, but I know them. I know we would do anything for each other. So that's the community that the small publishers have to embrace, or not have to, get to embrace.
But it's not just ours. There are plenty of other communities like our own. Skeeter and I, when we know ours, because we like, but there are plenty of other groups of people that are centered around other, like just basically hubs of
Right.
word, and all of them have value. I mean, if you are more into Savage Worlds, I could not help you except to tell you I think it's published by X company. Can't remember. Um, but there's a group there, I assure you, that wants to play. DCC people I interact with occasionally because I see them at conventions and I know the game and I like them a lot. But there's a whole I mean, these guys are tight knit and they help each other, and they are not like exclusive. They don't want. They're not telling you you can't join their club. They are just talking to you about games, and then you're just around, right? It's the same around other companies. Like I know Troll Lords have a group that they do a lot of work with,
Hmm.
and you don't have to stalk those guys. You can meet people who are. I met Jim Wampler before I was part of any company, before he was either, and we sat in front of a building and talked and smoked, and both said we wanted to do something in a few years, and we did. Yeah, Skeeter Rain, you too.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, it's a, especially for um, artists, it's a great way to connect
Yeah,
with other companies. Bring a couple of examples if you can and just show them off. Don't push yourself on people, but small publishers are always looking for artists or cartographers or people who do layout
if you
because
saw
that's
Wizards of the Coast there as an artist and you want to show them artwork, they're not interested right in that venue. That's not their venue for them. But for people who are publishing 2 books a year and are looking for specific stuff, that
mhm.
is the venue. They are there for that, and you shouldn't be embarrassed to come ask and have them take a look. And always, if you're looking, take a card. If you're going, bring them so you can give them out because it's
Oh
vastly
yeah.
important.
I take everybody's card all the time, even if I think I am never going to look at this. I take cards always because if I just happen to be flipping through my pocket and look at it and go, "Oh shit, that's right. I wanted to go check out this person's site."
No, I've done
It
that with art. I've had people give me their cards with their artists. 3 weeks, Lloyd. That's how I met Lloyd. Just 6 weeks after we met, he contacted me saying that he liked his little metal gnome, and I talked to him, and then we got hundreds of pieces of art that I made from him. Right,
yeah.
and he wasn't doing anything. He just first showed up to first time he'd been to a convention, I think, ever, and it's me as well. And we sat down because there was not enough tables at breakfast. I couldn't get my own. I had to sit with this Lloyd kid. And then that's we did a lot of stuff together, and Lloyd went out doing a lot of work for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So did I.
this year at North Texas, I'm doing the special guest luncheon just because I have never done it. So I'm gonna go have lunch with all these super famous people and act like I'm famous.
That's what I did the first day when I told you the story about Jim Ward and Steve Winter.
Yeah,
You're this late to the game. Wow, Steve. Wow.
I don't listen to you.
No, no. I
Ha-
was only
have
there by accident 'cause I need to carry something. To be
have
honest
I
with you.
not proven that already? No, but there's a lot
That's
of
cool.
opportunities, and as people get their vaccinations and more conventions are going to come online, Gamehole is going to be live this year in October, and we're going to do that one. And I am even going to have a vendor table in the small new games section. Uh, can't do it in the actual vendor hall because those people are too big and sophisticated for us small publishers.
Well, I tell you, well, I mean, they say that, but you know what? They're doing you a favor. I would have been disappointed too. It took me twice to get into GaryCon when it was smaller to get a table. I had to use Lloyd's leverage to get me in. It's true, but
And all the shit I'm talking about Gamehole is just because their vendor area is a certain size and so many people are trying to get in there, the tables go super fast. So
I do.
I'm in the new games area where I can show off, I can run an encounter for somebody at the table, and
And it's big. You don't need a lot of space because you really are not there to push $6 or $10 modules. You're there to show people who will buy more than that from you, and will spread the word and maybe think about playing the game with you.
and I have the small publisher table. So it's going to
Ooh.
be SGP. There's going to be some Silver Boulay stuff. There's going to be some Planet X games
Man, this
from
is a
Levi
rogue scout, right?
Combs stuff. There's going to be some Mud Puppy games. There might even be the actual scientific barbarian there. I can't promise anything.
But that's you better not promise that, dude, because old people have it rough, dude.
Yeah, he would murder me. I could do a deep cut and say he would actually cast a spell at me, but it would go awry because
You know,
his
I'm
wizard in
sorry, his
my
Spellbird's
game.
wearing out, man.
Sorry, Jim. Um, yeah, and Mike brings that up in the chat again. The small new publisher area. Uh, Last time we were at Gen Con, they have the new publisher and new games section way at the back of the vendor room. I spent way more time there than anywhere else because they had some actually interesting ideas.
And they actually had stuff you could see without being. I mean, I've never been to Gen Con, but I've been to conventions that are primarily like your cattle march, and they're there to make a lot of money, so they want you in vendor hall spending a lot of money. Well, the problem is if your per foot square foot space does not meet a certain standard for profit, they can put you elsewhere. But the good news is the big companies, they don't have time or really care to talk to people near as much. They already have staffs and they have freelancers, they have everything else. They're there to move product and
Right.
not be talking and hanging. Whereas you're in a small publisher, or you're people want to tell you about this stuff, and I want to buy for somebody who wants me to buy it bad, right? I want to hear the pitch. I want to hear, what did you think about it? Why would you do that? What system is it for? Why did you pick that system? They will tell you, and they'll have a conversation, and you wind up finding neat stuff. I mean, you really do.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever heard the classic stereotype of somebody coming up and telling you about their character,
Hmm.
and everybody cringes about that, go to a new publisher and ask them about their game. Oh
Yeah,
my God, you will get all the minutia if you're
but
interested
if
in
you're
it.
there for being a publisher, you get it. I mean,
Right.
you will totally understand because the others will. It is a part of the process of when I did my Kickstarter, first one with Whisper Venom, all I thought about for 12, 15 weeks before it even launched. That's all I thought about full time. My wife didn't want to hear it. My family didn't want to hear it. I had not, but when I went to a convention, somebody actually almost cared. And some people actually did care quite a bit. And you had people with the same kind of problems. You learn stuff and everything else. And with you meet other small game publishers and designers, you actually wind up, you solve problems together.
Yeah. So, an example of solving problems not related to a convention, SGP finished up Kickstarter. I have a manuscript that's going to layout this week. I have had my friends from Silver Boulet do a read through, and I want to say thank you right now to Jason Gardner, who's come up with some excellent changes that I had to make, which sort of sucks, but uh, you don't ever
You should be
get
more over that
anything.
by now, man.
You don't ever get anything perfect the first time.
No.
So having somebody who's got an eye for detail, uh,
That
and
will actually help you.
yeah, and even not just picking up,
You
spelling
use can too many
issues.
times.
Well, that was a whole different issue. But said, what about redesigning the layout so this information goes in a different spot? Helpful suggestions like that will make your product better.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
I think that
yeah,
the other really good part of it is you see other people doing having the same kind of frustrations that you get. It's I miss it. I don't have a lot of people that have the same frustrations as me. I'm frustrated with everybody else.
well, Zach is too high up the mountain now. The rest of
No,
us
no.
mere
See,
mortals.
that's not true. That's not true at all. I said I'm low enough on the other mountain to where it all like comes down to like, we get the last corner of the shipping container on the ship, and then it gets called for customs. It's like, you know,
Yeah, I was. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember me making that joke about a Kickstarter, and I was just gonna do it again, and I thought maybe that's not the best jest right now.
it's all
um,
good.
so yeah, this weekend, Frog God Games Game Day. What are you doing for it, Zach?
I'm running two games, and I hear there might be a seminar with two people that have already bored everybody they know. Come
I
one, come all.
I'm sure I know exactly what you're talking about. On Sunday at 10 o'clock Pacific time, Zach Glazer and myself are doing a small publisher seminar. I don't know what the topic is going to be.
I'll pick it.
Okay, you pick it, and just the two of us will talk about it
Okay.
because I don't think I got anybody.
Well, I think that also, you know, who wants to go to another publisher's special convention so we can talk about us? So, no,
Absolutely.
honestly, well, it's going to be the two of us there. We might actually have a good question and answer session time. I do think I want to talk a little bit about something that's real specific, which would be print types and like we're making decisions as to like why, for example, this book right here and this book right here are the same book, right? But one's much thicker. They're both the same book, different kind of page coatings. I want to talk about that. So it's pretty specific, and people who want to hear that will like it, and people who don't want to hear it are all watching right now, right? I know exactly, but you care. What happened to you? What happened to you, Perfect Bound?
I do care about that. So
You're my inspiration for this.
yeah, no, that I'll get to tell the whole story about when I did
Yep.
not get a physical proof for a book. That's an error.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I am running a game for Frog God Game Day at 5 p.m. Pacific and at noon. That's 5 p.m. Pacific on Friday and at noon on Sunday. Two games I swore I would never run again, but I am running it because the one on Friday I wrote, and the one on Sunday is just the highest level Swords and Wizardry game I've ever run. So,
Is that the master?
yep, against
Yep.
the master.
The fact that you run that makes me just. I don't even see. I really don't see how that can last longer than 20 minutes. But uh,
Oh, you would be fascinated at the level of planning and project management that goes into that. I mean,
no, I would think I'd be amazed.
it's an hour of me not even saying a word and just letting them figure out their strategery.
Look, it's a master class in, am I lucky and am I good? And it's usually kind of in both, right? But we can't give it away. But the best part's when it's over.
Well, yeah, and the thing is I'm trying a different tactic than the one I know leads to a TPK.
Hmm.
I'm gonna
You're a
see.
different man, Skeeter Green. I don't.
I
Who is this Skeeter,
Hey, it's a brave new world.
man? What's the world coming to? Like, I think you know what? Having your kids come around and go to the convention with you has made you a decent and like a friendly fellow.
You shut your
Wow,
bitch mouth.
that's what I thought.
There we go.
Boom,
That's the Skeeter we know and love.
bitch mouth. That's the two things I think of you.
Heyo.
Hey yo.
Yeah. So we're gonna come to Texas, get some barbecue. You guys are gonna eat those damn fried pies.
Yes,
Um, we're gonna
yes we
play
are.
some. We're gonna play some games, and as soon as Mike ever tells me when I can get a vendor table, I will happily acquire that piece of real estate.
Hey, check it out. Bad Mike actually said something. Says, despite my misgivings, this is actually helpful for small publishers.
I
Well,
know. No one is as surprised as
surprised as
me
we
and
are.
Zach.
Yeah.
I've rewatched some of these, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's actual decent advice."
No, it's funny because we're in like an industry and a hobby part that there's some real specific skills that I've developed that I just if I was trying to get a regular job again, nobody would hire me because I don't have any skills for them, but I have plenty of other ones for just this kind of job.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how specific things could be, but I could, if I felt like it, I could take the skills I've learned here and apply them to my day job and get a different job. You
Well,
know,
and that's true. Like for instance, you have to do like well, the one you don't do well is marketing. I'll admit you're trouble with that. But you have to be somebody who can evaluate like creative work. You have to be somebody who can make decisions about cost. You have to be somebody who makes decisions about long strategy. And on top of that, you got to write stuff.
and
I mean, and
and
there's more.
you
Maybe a WordPress guy. I'm a WordPress guy now. I didn't want to be a WordPress guy. I'm Mr. E-commerce because I don't have a choice.
yeah, and that's the thing is you fall into a lot of jobs because you have to get it done.
Yeah.
And one of the key core competencies you have to have is you have to be okay making a decision
Yeah.
because you will have to make decisions and they are not good.
And
Any of them.
sometimes you have options and they both stink. I
Yep.
mean, it's literally you know, you have to fill it. You have 1,200 backers. They all need to have 10 PDFs. And the only way to do it is by hand. What do? Well, you don't fulfill it or you fulfill it. Up to you. It's like you live with the consequences and you learn from them, and then you have a good time in the process. So
Yeah, I mean, try to have as much fun as you can, but you're going to make some choices that are going to make your stomach upset.
yeah. All
So,
right, well, Mr. Skeeter Green, that was
yep,
successful.
that was mildly successful.
We've had much worse.
Oh, yes, and we will in the future as well.
Well, that's true. Frog Out Games Day is this weekend. If you're interested in going and playing a Skeeter's game or playing the games, many of us that are there, it's on Discord. I think you can play for free as long as you're willing to sign up now. We have It Started with a Chicken is on pre-order for us. It's the
Excellent.
first part of Splinters of Faith. It has the best cover ever. And the Temple of Dagon is running right now on Indiegogo, and I think it's just fantastic, especially the cover and it is an ambitious piece by James Thomas. And finally, you guys, be excellent to each other.